It's 5:30, Thursday, May 25th, 2023. I'd like to call the monthly meeting of the Bristol County Water Authority to order. And the first item on the agenda, second item on the agenda is a public input. I don't see any members of the public here now. So we'll move on that into approval of the minutes from the board meeting of April 27, 2023. Move ready to approve.
Second.
Any discussion? Any issues with them? No, hearing none. Call for a vote. All in favor of approving the minutes, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Now we have the executive director's report. Mr. Executive Director.
Okay. Report for May 25, 2023. Nothing new on phase one. For phase two, we're at 60% design from Kent Heights to just north of John Avenue. Beta group recently submitted permit applications to DOT. That survey has been completed for the alternative route design. So now they're asking DOT to poke some holes on Pawtucket Avenue, just to determine the presence of ledge. And we also met with the new beta project engineer and their geotech consultants at the 10-mile river crossing to explore the crossing options on both east and the west side of the roadway bridge. That's becoming a critical path in this pipeline project. The west side is the land belongs to Agawam. The east side mainly belongs to the city of East Providence. However, just the kind of how the river is on the upstream side, which is the east side, is a little more challenging constructability, but they're going to explore both options. With respect to the East Providence partnership, we did provide them with the beta contract amendment, and that is scheduled to go before the City Council for approval to amend our agreement with East Providence for June 6th. Also on the Agawam Hunt Club front, was informed today that there's going to be a meeting on June 8th. The mayor's office did reach out to Agawam Hunt, and Agawam is open for additional discussions regarding the pipeline crossing on that property. So we'll keep the board apprised as that develops.
All right, either one of those meetings, the council meeting or the meeting with Agawam Hunt Club, require input or presentation by you or our engineers?
No, I did check on the council meeting with their DPW director, and he feels confident that he can provide the information accordingly at the council meeting. I did offer my presence and or Beta's presence, and we will be present at the Agawam meeting.
When is the council in East Providence supposed to approve the amended agreement?
June 6th.
June 6th, thanks.
Yeah. And then earlier this month, we met with, Mike and I met with Pawtucket water officials to discuss the hydraulic analysis and flow capacity report completed by Park Corp. And they're using that as the basis for the interconnection agreement. They're actually going to be developing a draft contract, which we should be getting shortly for review.
Is there any, I see it says flow capacity.
Yep.
Are there any issues there that are going to raise our eyebrows about maybe restrictions or anything?
Actually, their system is actually very robust at that location.
Right,
Yeah.
that's what I would think, but I'm just surprised by seeing the words there, so.
Yeah.
But no surprises, okay. I like no surprises.
And I don't know if you looked across the street, if you go to the across the street, if you go to the second floor here, you can look down and see the work that's been going on. They started tearing down the tanks, and that'll be continuing through this month. We sent out letters just a couple days ago, certified letters to about 27 homes that surround the reservoir from the CRMC has sent that we are offering water quality testing, mainly for salinity, offering pre and post dam removal water quality testing. So we'll see if we get any interest from that, from that request.
How often will that be done?
Once before and once after. We also went out to bid for the dam removal project. We're still waiting for the wetlands permit. Continue to be told it's forthcoming. We have our pre-bid next Tuesday, May 30th, and bids are due June 12th. However, it should be noted that the DEM wetlands permit is only for the upper dam, and how construction is going to proceed is the lower dam will be scheduled to be demolished between summer and fall months of this year, and the upper dam is scheduled for the following spring.
All the permits in? Basically?
Just everything's in except we don't have the hard wetlands permit yet. However, they've already gone through their public comment period. They received they only received comments in support of the project.
That's what I read here.
And now it's just a matter of their administration putting together their letter of approval and whatever conditions they put on the permit.
Can I raise a question with respect to that?
Yes.
This is actually to Joe. If someone declines to participate in the pre-dam removal testing, subsequently comes in and says that we've adversely affected their water quality, their salinity, where are we and what can we do to better situate ourselves with respect to that sort of potentiality?
Well, I suppose we have to rely on the other tests, and they, I think they're coming forward with that kind of claim. They've got to prove that, they'd have to have some proof that the water before the removal.
And anything we can do in terms of, a letter to drive the point home, and I don't have to go out there myself and speaking out loud.
Well, we sent the letter to all, what was it, Steve, 200 feet? 27, I think, separate properties. Informing them that, there was that certified saying, testing can be done free of charge. If someone won't let us on to test the water, I don't really know there's much we can. But, the burden of proof is certainly going to be on them to show before and after change.
Like you see where a jury would like to do insurance.
Well, and that's what, you would say, and you received this letter, right?
Right.
And did you respond to the letter? No.
Thanks, Joe.
Yeah.
Do you know offhand, just generally, about all these people with wells, the artesian wells?
Most of them are. I think there's a couple shallow wells.
Couple
But
shallow
yeah,
wells?
but we've tested the shallow. We've tested the shallow well before, and there were no issues. And
Again, shallow wells.
there are a number of properties downstream along the Kickamuit in the Twisted area, homes that are very close to the river, and they're all on wells. Most of these properties are fairly well set back, and most have very deep wells. We also included a street on the east side of the reservoir, Denver Avenue. All those homes over there are all on wells, and we include the entire street just to be safe. Meter replacements, we did shut off a number of customers due to non-response, and that has had a positive effect. Joe can probably have more detail on that, but as of the end of April, we were at 32. I think we're down to 23. So, and we shut off how many, Joe?
Just a couple.
Just a couple.
Most responded.
Right. Yeah. So it's a threat of not shut off, how people choose pump. Very good. So we've had a lot of activity, with the exception of the Hope Street Pump Station equipment delays, and I put this in my report. I did ask our engineer to look further into this issue. He did provide a letter to us, basically stating that electrical components in particular they're seeing delays on these types of projects. So it's a kind of not only regional, but it's national. If you just do an internet search, you can see it's a problem everywhere. I understand it's very frustrating. It's frustrating for me, frustrating for everybody here. But we are at 12 months now because the equipment was approved by the engineer in May, and it is scheduled to be delivered in August. I did get an updated schedule from the contractor this afternoon, and they are scheduling to be back on site the week of June 5th. That's going to be corresponding with the delivery of the precast drainage structures. So they would be putting in the drainage system starting that week, and also followed by the water main tie-in, site grading, and whatever site work. The VFDs for the pumps are scheduled for delivery at the end of June, and the Motor Control Center is still scheduled to ship August 11th. Any questions?
They moved the portage on the other side of the building. So you didn't have to look at it, water.
Well, we had them at least clean up. We had to clean up the site a little bit, and including, moving the portage on off the street.
I have one question on the Agawam thing.
Yes.
I can find Agawam. Is there any way anybody can take an eyeball to where you propose to do that? I don't know where that's going across a river or so on and so forth, if it's feasible, if you're gonna go that way, or somebody's gonna have a meeting there. I'd just like to put an eye to it, just so if you're talking to somebody. I know Agawam's a golf course, and I probably would hurt it if it wouldn't let me on.
If you drive up Pawtucket Avenue, just go past where Greg's is.
Yeah.
East Providence has a park called Agawam Park. It's on the right-hand side, and you cross the 10-mile river just, at the low spot there.
Okay.
Yeah.
What's the street that comes out there, is that Center?
Center Street. Yeah.
Okay.
So it's just north of Center Street, intersection of Center Street and Pawtucket Avenue.
Okay, and that's where you're gonna cross the...
And that's where we're gonna cross the 10-mile, yes.
It's not where the 10-mile river then goes further south through Agawam Hunt. It's not where the clubhouse is or anything like that. It's on Pawtucket Avenue.
Correct. And it's very woodsy there. I think once the leaves start coming in, you can't see the club from Pawtucket Avenue.
I just want to throw an eyeball to it sometime.
Yeah.
Thanks.
And already on the Agawam side, the west side of that bridge, there is a pipeline crossing. It's an East Providence sewer line. It's a 20-inch sewer line that sits on piles. So, and at that point, it's downstream of the bridge. The river somewhat narrows because of the channel opening of the bridge, and basically because of the configuration of the river, already the location of a utility crossing. That location has been cited as the most advantageous.
Okay.
Received the water purchase graphs, April a little higher than the prior 5-year average for the month. We completed our spring hydrant flushing, and we will flush again in the fall. Our team, hydrant hysteria team, is preparing to go to Toronto, which will be June 11th to 14th, to compete nationally in that competition. I also will be attending that conference. The annual report, I would expect a draft early next week, and I'll be presented to the board at the July meeting. Policies, any day, I expect a draft of the Board of Directors handbook. If you recall, during, when we had all the development of the employee handbook, there was discussion on what about the Board of Directors. That's being developed, really could be, and once it is, we'll present to the policy committee, whatever that may be when we get appointed. And then we've also started looking at some other policies, which we will schedule for the policy committee review, because we've noticed many of the policies are outdated, similar to the employee handbook. And I've provided the table of the capital improvement budgets. Projects look to be in good shape relative to their budgets. And that concludes my report. Any questions?
Mike's not yet.
He's not here tonight. We can take questions for him, and I'll forward him the questions.
Well, we'll go right to you, Susan. Tell us about your report.
Everything's moving along smoothly with this year's capital improvement project, water main project. Walsh Construction has finished cleaning and lining Rumstick. We actually have quite a big work day tomorrow there. They're going to be tying in, the water main has been tested and passed, and now we'll be tying it back in to the system. So there's a lot of people shut down without water tomorrow on Rumstick Road, so
We hope it's short.
we're crossing our fingers at that.
Right before Memorial Day weekend.
Yes, I'm not sure why the planning worked out that way, but, so then that project will be pretty much complete, and they'll take away the bypass piping. They are on Burnside, have already cleaned and lined Burnside and Bristol. That too will be scheduled to get tested soon and finish up the services and things on that street. So 2 streets pretty much done, and both went without too many surprises. They'll be finishing up work in both areas because the next street, they're not allowed to start until after 4th of July. It's in Bradford Street in Bristol. But they are gearing up and getting everything planned. July 5th. We will be there, Rhode Island Energy will be there, and the town will be there, all to do work in the same strip of area, just because they didn't want to interfere with 4th of July, and they don't want to interfere with schools. There's 2 schools there, so that's the next big activity on that project. And after that, they'll go back to Barrington to finish up. But everything seems to be going well on that. You can see from the pictures, it was needed that we cleaned and lined that water main on Rumstick Road. It was an old cast iron main, very oversized for the use there, and it had gotten very corroded over the years. So I did see some pictures for Burnside, and it was similar because it's a very small cross street that doesn't get a lot of flow, and it looked similar inside. So those, it's good that they got rehabilitated. And Boyle and Fogarty's just finishing up last year. They had some paving to do in both Barrington and Bristol. They're finishing up that work. And that's going fine as well. So.
Yeah, this project's moving along. I mean, it's, they're all really, busy kind of profile areas. You got, Rumstick Road area, and the ones down in Bristol are, Bradford Street is a busy road, and you got the 2 schools and Burnside. But Susan did a great job coordinating the work with towns and what their needs are, and also notifying residents and ahead of time of work. They do a really nice job, so there was no surprises to people.
Yes,
And I have to say the contractor too is they're very easy to work with, and they're very accommodating to residents having needs as well. So just want to make that statement. So it's always good when things move.
Off the cuff question, I saw that Providence is going through and replacing lead lines and such. Do we have, and you get the question after people see the news, do we have any left in our community?
Well, that would be more a question for Mike, because he's very on top of that. Mike and
Okay.
Dave have been working diligently to map all of ours. I believe we have 60 possible connections. We don't have lead service lines, but they are on top of the mapping and getting, yes, we respond to customers that call up with a lot of information.
Yeah, we've been replacing them, they've been replacing them over the years with our
Yeah.
crews.
Yeah.
And we don't have, so we don't have like just the complete lead service lines. They basically got the connections, they call them lead goosenecks. But just the fact that you have a connection, they consider that an entire line, so you still have to replace those, the entire thing. But we have very few left, I think like 60 in the system, and we're just going through all the historical records now, and that should be complete soon. We need to put that out. It has to be a public, sorry. Per the new lead and copper rules, all that information has to be made public as to who has what, and map that out. And we've already done a lot of that, and we're way ahead of the game than most water systems.
Are they concentrated in any particular area? Or scattered along?
They're not. I've
Not
seen them
really.
on the
It's
map, and
fairly
they're
scattered.
kind of all over.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, pretty-
So it's not just old houses?
No, it doesn't seem,
It's mostly older homes, but it's still not, you
Yeah.
can't say it's like, okay, just this whole part of Bristol is a clump. No,
Right,
it is somewhat scattered, and if you want to break it up between each community, it's roughly, they're almost evenly split as far as, we have total.
and we do have a map on our website right now where you can go to your home and you can see if you're one of those homes. So it's already, all the data is already in our map, on our map, and you just click on your house and you can see if you have one of these connections that we're doing.
Yeah.
We obviously don't have a lot of information on the customer side. So that's, many of those are unknown, but on our side, we know.
I have a question regarding flushing the lines. And I know we put out a lot of information about when areas are going to be flushed and so forth. It's I think I got something in my most recent bill. I think there was something in there. And I think I've seen it in the newsletter. I think I've seen it on the webpage. There's a lot of information up there. But as it is, I'm standing in my yard the other day, and my neighbor comes over and said, did you lose water the other day? And I said, no, don't think I did. He said, we did. And my wife was in the shower too at the time, and all of a sudden the water went off. And I said, I'm not sure what it could have been. And he said, well, I called the Bristol County Water Authority, and they got a good response and everything. I said, oh, we're flushing the lines, and you may have lost water pressure and might have lost some water service for a period of time. So anyway, he doesn't know I'm associated with this organization. But he said, gee, you'd think they would have some kind of a system to be able to notify customers when this is going on. And I told him what I just said is, well, there's newsletter, there's the webpage and so on and so forth. I said, but you did call in and you got a good answer and quickly and so forth. And he said, and so then he gave up the example of school departments having everybody's email addresses or cell phone numbers and sending out messages to phones and emails and so forth when they're going to have a disruption in the service and stuff like that. Is that something we would be able to implement in the future?
For flushing purposes?
Yeah, I don't know how often this happens when somebody loses service because the lines are being flushed, which.
So the flushing was all done in the night.
It's done at night too. I mean, and if you called, if it was happened during the day, it was maybe an isolated incident where we were flushing for something.
Yeah.
But all that flushing is done in the middle of the night, and, unless you're taking a shower at 2
And you
o'clock in the
notify
morning.
people ahead of time it's going to happen.
All right.
Yeah. But anyway, I mention it because I was the guy in the street that happened to have to hear this. But anyway,
Stay in your house.
okay.
Do you want a motion on the paving contract?
Written information.
We have another item on the agenda first. Thank you. 2 items. We have financial report.
All right. Just a little heads up, I got the draft of the financials, so they're moving along. I do have to be presented at the next board meeting, so those are moving along. I also have to give this to Juan, again, it's the communication with the powers that be at the end of the audit. But the audit's moving along, so hopefully they'll be ready to present at the next board meeting. We're at April now, a couple months in. So if we look at April versus April, we had the revenue increase just over 10% versus last year. Again, and we're gonna see that for the first part of the year really, it has to do with the shifting of those routes at the end of last year. We're still picking up some of that in March and April. The expenses were slightly lower. This too is due to timing. And when you look at last April versus this April, last April, the biggest thing that dropped was, we did the bond issue last April, so it was about $55,000 in cost of issuance costs in there. The only thing I put at the bottom, I don't usually go below the line below expenses too much, but just to highlight, I mean, the raising of the interest rates, we're getting a little bit of a benefit here. You can see for April, we got $137,000 from the funds that we have in a lot of these debt service accounts versus $266 last year. So we get the benefit of the low interest rate on our bonds and we're getting the benefit of higher interest rates on our cash in the debt services. For the 2 months through April, we had a revenue increase of 35% versus last April. Again, that's the shifting of the routes. That should start to level off a little bit as we continue to go through the year. The expenses are slightly lower. They're almost spot on. They're only 0.45% lower than last April. Again, a lot of that's timing, and the big thing in there was the $55,000 in debt issue costs. The water purchase is a little bit lower than it was last year through April. And the administrative expense is higher due to the change in the pension amount that we've been putting in every month. We should do that adjustment sometime, come out like what, September or so. They do their presentation, September, October. They usually change the amount of how much we put in every month based on the results from the pension company. So obviously last April was a little bit lower. This April's higher based on last year's report. For actual versus budget on page 5, revenue is over budget, which is good. Combination of the budget allocation and the 4 routes, the 8 or 9 routes getting shifted. Expenses are under budget, which is also good. 8.86%. The 3 big ones under budget are the professional fees, the water, and operations maintenance. Those are all within limits. Again, the water is a little bit lower. The professional fees, again, we have some projects still on hold. I had some costs last April. And I know I just got a bunch of legal bills I just put in for May. And that's pretty much it on that end. Pages 6 through 8 are the dollars billed and the gallons delivered. They both up just over almost 26% versus prior year. Again, that's the shifting of the routes, and we should see that level off as the year goes on. The debt service is at 6.29 for April, which is still strong. And I only have the pension summary report because I don't have the next quarter's report for the OPEB. The next quarter is end of May, so I should have that maybe next month. But you can see the pension report, there's a slight increase for the month of April and a slight increase for the pension year. It's up almost a couple $100,000 year to date versus the pension year. We only have 2 more months in the pension year. The pension year ends in June, so hopefully May and June finish strong. That is April.
questions? Okay, moving on. Board member, town council report. Anybody have anything to report? Not hearing anything. Vote to award of annual permit paving contract.
Move to approve.
Second.
Any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All set. Oh, okay. It's recommended that JML Excavation be awarded the annual contract based on a submitted low bid of $123,200, and that was approved by the board. The next item is the award of the annual maintenance and service work contract. So, is there a second?
Second.
Okay, and that's, there was one bid from JML Excavation, and staff's recommending that JML Excavation be awarded the annual contract based on the submitted bid of $260,085. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? No opposed. The next item on the agenda is the award of the annual water main and, yes, award of the annual water main and appurtenance materials contract.
So moved.
Move to approve as presented.
Okay, and the staff's recommending that the items highlighted in the attached memo as estimated quantities awarded to specific vendors in each category, specifically Warwick Windwater, E.J. Prescott, Core and Maine, Ferguson Waterworks, Fordley and Sons, and Stiles.
Move to approve as presented.
There's a second.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? No opposition?
Should note that we weren't able to do this, I don't think,
Last 2
at least
years.
last 2 years, because material suppliers could not hold their bids or didn't have materials for a year-long period. So shows things are somewhat stabilizing, that they're able to provide us a price and hold that price for the year.
That's encouraging news. The next item is approval of agreement with Safe Bay for work associated with the dam removal project.
Move to approve the payment to Save the Bay.
Second.
And that's for the cost of Save the Bay staff time for the 3-year effort is $77,000 and was included in BCWA's grant.
Yeah, so this, their staff time will be covered through the grant that we will receive, so it's, however the grant works, whether it's a reimbursable, but this will not be, they will not be paid by BCWA, we'll include that.
Any questions about this? Hearing none, do we have a motion on that?
Yes, I made a motion.
Okay, sorry. Okay, it's for, I mentioned it was for the cost of Safe Bay staff, and Steve explained that. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? None opposed. We have the quarterly write-offs for information only.
Motion to be accepted as presented. Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
No, anybody object? No.
Sure.
Okay.
When this is one of the lowest,
In many years, yes.
The threat of a shut-off.
0.09%.
Who has to sign the shut-off notice? You or Joe?
I leave it all in Joe's
Or you
hands.
just sign a Bristol County board?
Yeah, it's a generic tag. No names.
The next item is to go into executive session for purpose of litigation between North Palm versus BCWA pursuant to Rhode Island General Law, Section 4246-582. So moved.
Seconded.
Seconded. All in favor of going into executive session for sole state purposes, say aye.
Aye.
Any objections? No. We're going into executive session.
Mr. Chairman, I apologize, I have to leave.
Motion to seal the minutes. Second. Of the executive session.
So moved.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Now, the next scheduled meeting is June the 22nd, 2023. Do I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved, Chairman.
Second. Everybody in favor of adjourning?
Aye.
Okay. Go home.